From the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, it's MISL soccer as the Pittsburgh Spirit, in a battle for first place, take on the Minnesota Strikers. A very pleasant good evening, everyone. Welcome to a very chilly Minnesota. I'm John Sanders with John Paul Dellacamera. This is a big game early in the season, John Paul.
Well, John, it's for first place, and you've got two of the better teams right now in the MISL playing for it. Both teams solid in goal and have some players up front that can do some damage. A lot of similarities between the two clubs.
If you look at the standings, Minnesota coming in with a record of 8-3. They've won 3 of their last 4. The Pittsburgh Spirit on a 4-game winning streak, the best they've had in a couple of years. They are 6-3, and percentage-wise, the victory would put them into first place. But let's talk about what happens home and road. Minnesota's 5-0 here in this building, the Met Center, and the Spirit are 0-3 this year, and both have some home and road streaks going right now.
Well, Pittsburgh is on the downside of the losing side as far as the road goes. They've lost 3 straight this year. They have a longer road scheme that goes all the way back to last year. Minnesota has won 16 straight. That's a little scary going into this game tonight at home. So they like to play at home. We'll see what they do tonight. We know that they're expected to start Tino Lettieri in goal, but he has a sprained thumb, and he was questionable before the game. Whether that is a bother to him tonight or not, we'll find out.
And David Bursic, who is the 3rd leading goalkeeper in the MISL, will start tonight for the Pittsburgh Spirit. It is a showdown for first place in the Eastern Division of the MISL as the Pittsburgh Spirit take on the Strikers here in Minnesota on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
And bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It's chilly outside of the Met Center, going down to 0 tonight, even cooler tomorrow. We're going to try to warm it up inside tonight as the Spirit take on the Minnesota Strikers. Our officials are getting set, and we're going to try to set the table for some people tonight in our goal-getter contest, John Paul.
That's right, John. The all-new Giant Eagle goal-getter contest right here on Spirit Television. Entry blanks and details are available at all new Giant Eagle stores. You can win up to $400 in Giant Eagle groceries. $100 is at stake in groceries in the first quarter, and our contestant will be Gertrude Tripodi, and she has chosen Paul Chow, so that's worth $100. As we look at Tino Lettieri, they tell us he has a fractured thumb. He is the 5th leading goalkeeper in the MISL. There's David Bursic. He is number 3. Would also like to tell you right now that operators are standing by at 642-2067. You can save money when the Spirit meet the Minnesota Strikers on December the 20th. That's coming up at $11 seat. You get it for $9 by calling right now, 642-2067. And we're just about set for a game that right now means first place, John.
And 16 consecutive home victories for the Strikers of Minnesota. 8 losses in a row on the road for the Pittsburgh Spirit. You have to go back to the end of last season since they won on the road. Don Popovic hoping to end that string tonight and increase the team's winning streak to 5 in a row. And for the first quarter of play, here's John Paul.
Thank you, John. Paul Child up front with Godfrey Ingram and Zeke Kapka, John O'Hara and Dave McKenzie in front of David Bursic. On the opposite side, you've got Dwight Lodevegas and Ken Fogarty. As the defenders in the forward line, we'll have Alan Willey, Jan Goosens, and John Bain. Godfrey Ingram putting it in play, sending it back the other way. Left wing side, Zeke Kapka moving it up for Child, knocking it back to O'Hara. Johnny right at the midfield line. 4-game win streak for the Spirit, plays it right into Lettieri. Long throw up the left wing side for Alan Willey.
Those consecutive victories on the road for Minnesota on their recent road trip. One in Los Angeles, 3-2. Another in San Diego, 3-2. Those are the fewest goals they've given up. They have been allowing a lot of goals, almost 5 a game to the opposition, but they turned that around on the West Coast, and that's a tough place to do it.
Well, that win over San Diego gave them confidence, not like they needed it because they've been doing so well, but they did not play Drago Dembovic all that much in the last couple of games. They were trying to tighten up a little bit more defensively, so they rested a guy who has been leading the club in goals scored with 13. Right now it is little Stan Cummins off the boards. Dave McKenzie will get it for the Spirit, moving it off the near boards. Child after it, a collision between he and Fogarty, and it goes out of play. Pittsburgh will be putting the ball back in play. Showed you the referees before. The senior referee is Essie Bahamas. Hermano Richel is the other official, the referee out on the field, and Chris Georgopoulos is the third official. He will work things in the box.
And what we will see, John Paul, is a lot of pressure by Minnesota. The strikers like to attack. They like to keep their three forwards, even their midfielder, up around the opposition red line and keep that pressure on you. They keep coming at you.
Line change out for Minnesota. We'll set it up for you in a moment as John O'Hara works it for Pittsburgh to Kapka. Nice give and go. O'Hara down the left side, try to play in the box, broken up by Fogarty. He collides with Kapka. No foul play on, say the officials. Fogarty tried to draw the foul. This is Child cutting it to Kapka. Z holding it, waits for the run. Topolsky cranks it, but way wide. I'm waiting to see Lettieri get tested to see if that bad thumb is going to really bother him tonight. But so far, nothing has gone his way. But we're just underway, 13:35 to go as the strikers get it back. You have Dangerfield, Bain up front, along with David Byrne. This is John Bain near boards. Lifting it over Kapka and Sibbies, who's just on. Now O'Hara bangs it up for Kapka. Child heading it back for Adam Topolsky on a 5-game point-scoring streak, as is Godfrey Ingram of the Spirit. It's played back to the feet of David Bursich. O'Hara for Nicky Klincharski as the Spirit trying to complete a change on the fly. Sibbies, Pittsburgh, fresh off of a 7-3 big victory last Saturday over Baltimore, a game in which they had 4 unanswered goals in that last quarter to win.
And what we will also see tonight is a lot of the ball being returned to David Bursich in order to start the offense. Because of the pressure, you can see 3 men generally in the opposition zone at all times, keeping the forechecking pressure on by Minnesota.
Topolsky with it on the right side. The Spirit may not play as exciting a game, but if it wins it for them, then that's the bottom line. They will try to play that ball possession-wise, maybe more so than they have in the past. Not as much of the quick one-touch and the give and goes. A lot of it working between the defenders, back to the goalkeeper, and trying to get a break. But if they have a chance to counterattack, they will take that opportunity to do so. This is Topolsky. Now he sees some room and goes. Over the midfield line, Adam for Gergiev, trying to give it back to Topolsky. Adam will get it back away from Alan Willie, who's back on for the strikers. Right side, Klincharski. 12:07 to go. First quarter scoreless. Klincharski, long shot off the boards wide. Battle along the side. Minnesota wins it. Settling it down was Goosens. Up the left side it goes. Alan Willie with Sibbies marking him. Near side, Tuksha intercepts it. Val coming on strong for the Spirit. 3-on-3. Tuksha cuts it left side to Gergiev. Freddie brings it inside, but a shot is blocked by Minnesota. And back with the strikers up the near boards. Broken up, though, by Helmut Dudek with a heads-up play. Helmut fakes with the left foot. Now drives it. It's blocked. It goes out of play. No score from Minnesota. You're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
Barbecues and cowboy shoes, guitars and...
John Sanders, in our first look at Dave Hagen out on the field in a long time, not since early November in that game against Baltimore as he played.
Returned to the team on the 2nd of December, but this is his first opportunity to play, and it comes because Marcio Leite is injured.
He's got a groin injury. Down the left side, Alan Willie. A shot off the post. That just about beat David Bursich. That would have given Minnesota a lead. Goosens plays it toward the box, broken up by Falzone on for his first shift. Tuksha clears it, a long run, Gergiev and Lodovegas, but Lodovegas will get there first to Lettieri. Minnesota with a great opportunity seconds ago. We've got 11:01 to go. First quarter, scoreless. Right side to Goosens. Off the boards, nobody home. Dudek trying to get it. He'll get it, and he'll draw a foul on the strikers.
And that's the first foul of the game. Keep in mind, those of you joining us for the first time on our Pittsburgh Soccer Network, that 6 fouls in a period, and it's a team or a bench penalty for 2 minutes.
Over on the right side, Hagen with it. Pittsburgh does not want to get into foul trouble against Minnesota because Minnesota has the best penalty killing record in the MISL. Pittsburgh, by the way, is very close to them there. On the left wing side, quick shot by Lodovegas is blocked. Loose ball now cleared out. May have said that last thing wrong. Minnesota on their power play
Well, you were
is
right
number
in
one.
either case, John Paul, because they're both, yeah, they're first in penalty killing and first in the power
But
play.
Pittsburgh is second in power play, only 7th in shorthanded. Charlie foul zone down the left side. Shooting it off the boards, deflected out by Fogarty. Foul zone trying to win it for Hagen, but it's blocked by Dangerfield to Lodevegas.
And speaking of that Spirit power play, if they get in that situation to replace Marcio Leite, we will see John O'Hara on the power play unit.
Good lead ball. Dangerfield, though, tossed it away by looking for Byrne. Didn't get off a good pass in the one touch.
He tried to touch it quickly, John Paul. He really had a pretty good shot. He
did.
Part of the net he could have taken if he wanted.
Charlie Green battling there. But the ball is won by the Strikers. Dan Cantor played it up the field. Just acquired a couple weeks back from the Chicago Sting in a trade for Ben Collins. Minnesota likes to run. They're a fast team, but Don Popovic says he does not want to run against them because you're only going to play to Minnesota's strengths. So Pittsburgh wants to slow that ball down.
We also have not seen Thompson Usian as yet. He's been bothered by an injury problem, some muscle spasms, but he is also an excellent player for Minnesota.
We haven't seen Drago either. 9:20 to go. First quarter, it is scoreless. I'm saving some goals for you to do in the second quarter.
All right.
Ingram coming back the other way. Godfrey, one of the better playing members of the team over the last 3 weeks. Godfrey makes a nice pass to Green, but his shot is blocked by Cantor. Godfrey on the rebound. Lost it. He's dumped, though. They're going to call it the other way.
A foul on Godfrey Ingram that time, so the fouls are even at 1 apiece.
Dangerous play on Godfrey Ingram. 9:04 to go. And this is the opening quarter, and it is scoreless. And we remind you, if you'd like to call and save money the next time these two clubs meet, the first time during the regular season in Pittsburgh on December 20th, you can call right now. Operators are standing by. 642-2067. You can purchase an $11 seat for $9 if you call right now.
And last year, the Spirit won 3 out of 4 games between these two teams. They're in the same division this year, so they will play 6 times. 3 here and 3 in Pittsburgh.
Stan Cummins off the boards. Comes right back out to Godfrey Ingram. Pittsburgh won a big game in here last year, 2-1. One of only 3 that they won all year on the road.
Well, the one thing that Minnesota has been excellent at, their record shows, they have won all 5 of the 1-goal games that they have been involved in this year.
So if it gets tight, they don't panic. On the right side, Ingram works it to the middle. In traffic, loses it, but the Spirit will get it back. Kapka with a chance. Z, left-footed drive off the boards wide. Picked up by O'Hara. Johnny in some traffic, plays it to Godfrey Ingram, looking for some help. Godfrey trying to step over it, leaves it for O'Hara. Strikers trying to converge on it, but it's played out to Kapka. Plays it wide for Godfrey Ingram. A scoreless tie, 8 minutes to go. Ingram is broken up by Fogarty, a little bit too aggressive. And S.C. Baharmist is over there to make the call. That is a foul on Minnesota. That shows foul number 2 on the Strikers. Played out to McKenzie, and he shoots it upstairs. Goal kick coming up for the Minnesota Strikers as we look at Jan Goosens, who had 49 goals last year, but no goals right now tonight. Pittsburgh nothing, Minnesota nothing, and you're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
The holiday season is here.
Second season as the striker coach. A year ago, they were 24-24 if you go up and down their roster. Many of the players are second-year MISL players. Part of this franchise that was new to the league last year. Of course, Don Popovic is the all-time leading winner among MISL coaches, 171 victories. And Alan Merrick will be our halftime guest in addition to John Paul's feature, so you'll find out a little more about Alan Merrick, who, interestingly enough, is a former Pittsburgh Spirit. And we'll explain that at halftime.
You know, this Minnesota team, John, lost their first game last year 10-2 at San Diego, won their next 4, and then 5 of 6, and really started to make people notice them. And this year, they started to make them notice from game 1.
Well, they did well in the playoffs last year. They beat Wichita, Las Vegas, finally losing to San Diego 3-2. So they were 1 game away from going to the championship.
Lodevegas can't pull the trigger as Klincharski was there. It's still scoreless if you're just joining us. 7:41 to go, first quarter. David Byrne plays into the box. Klincharski, nice play to clear it out, and Helmut Dudek sends it out the rest of the way near the midfield line. Lodevegas, dangerous play as he headed it all the way back to goal. If it was not as strong as it was, Sibbies might have gotten there first. That's a long way to head a ball downward, like Lodevegas was. There's a long one, and that goes way out of play. So there'll be a goal kick coming up for David Bursich and the Pittsburgh Spirit as we look at Dwight Lodevegas. 3 goals, 4 assists this year, 7 points. He had 14 goals, which is really a good season, scoring-wise, for a defender. Big guy, too, very aggressive back there on the Minnesota back line.
And if you're wondering where Ozzie is, he is no longer allowed in the net for Tino Lettieri.
He's banned. That was a big decision by Commissioner Frank Dale. I thought there were more important things to talk about during the offseason than to ban the poor parrot. I wonder if it affected his souvenir sales here. There's a long Bursich throw for Gergiev.
Good play by Fred, or it would have been a 3-line violation.
He'll try again with a head. Fogarty with a chest trap.
Good play by Sibbies.
Gergiev in there battling. He's on a line with Sibbies and Klincharski. Freddie try to tuck it back, but Chris Dangerfield is there. Dangerfield starting back. They try to give and go off the boards. Look at this. Dangerfield in the attack zone, cutting to the right. Gergiev trying to get him from behind. Dangerfield still free off the boards. Klincharski nicks it out, but there is Kazbek Tambi, former teammate of David Bursich with the Cosmos. Off the boards, David Byrne controlling it. Byrne faking, plays it back out left point. Fogarty. Kazbek Tambi out to Stan Cummins.
Yeah, one of the keys to the recent Spirit success, I think, John Paul, has to be the return of Helmut Dudek, who is on right now, playing with that new knee brace, and it's holding up pretty well.
Dudek, former All-Star with Memphis, played last year with the Las Vegas Americans. He has the ball there, giving it up for Klincharski. Nicky also coming over from Vegas. Charlie Green with it, now playing it back to David Bursich, as John Sanders had mentioned before. They will probably do that a lot tonight because of Minnesota's high pressure tactics. Minnesota will pick you up right at the Spirit red line and work hard all night. Here's a good ball for Green. Charlie looking, but he's broken up with the rebound coming out. Klincharski fires, punched out by Lettieri, and if he's got a bad thumb, he didn't show it right there.
The first real test for Tino Lettieri tonight.
And he's not in any real agony as I look at him the other way.
And there's David Hagen. Good to see him back.
Klincharski for Charlie Green. Right side, Adam Topolsky. Picked up by Kazbek Tambi. Now for Helmut Dudek. Right back for the feet of David Bursich.
I think with the return of David Hagen, I think he still has some things to prove. Not only in the fact that he hasn't scored yet this year, but of course he has some things to prove to his coach.
Has to mend a fence there. Charlie Falzone cutting to the left. Off the boards. Loose ball. Green is there, and he shot it upstairs. He was open, but was unable to put it home. So with a score, Pittsburgh nothing, Minnesota nothing. You're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
Burger King now begins a nationwide search.
Report out of General Hospital. There's Dave Douglas taking a look at that brace, the taping of Helmut Dudek's leg.
According to Coach Don Popovic, it really doesn't affect his mobility that much. He's running well with it. It's simply a protective measure to make sure that he doesn't have a problem again.
Tino Lettieri out to his own red line. He likes to come out of there. Clears it all the way down the field. Lettieri, very durable, played in 45 of 48 regular season games last year for Minnesota. Very colorful goalkeeper, one of the most colorful, if not the most colorful keeper right now in the MISL. John O'Hara, right side. 4:41 to go in the first quarter, and it's still scoreless.
Well, Tino Lettieri has more wins than anybody else in the MISL among goalkeepers, obviously, with 8. Only one loss for him so far.
Yeah, if he's healthy, he's going to play. And even if he's not totally healthy, you can bet he'll be in there. Dangerfield on the give and go. The shot blocked. John O'Hara got a piece of it. Hagen running strong right. Cuts it left. Well played ball to Falzone. Wide open in the box is Child, but the ball went behind him. He was open by several feet. Tuksha battling in there, but it's cleared out by the strikers. This is a 2-on-2 as Falzone hustles back. He got caught upfield. On the left side, John Bain taking a shot. He misses the far post.
And that was Dangerfield who was trailing the play, but the ball came beyond his reach.
Here's Usian's first shift. The crowd senses it. Plays it out. Dan Cantor wants it on the left foot. The drive blocked by Tuksha. Bain to Dangerfield, tucks it in, but O'Hara is there to clear it out. Over on the right wing side, Hagen kicking with Dangerfield. Dangerfield's going to win it. Minnesota changing. Bono coming out. Tony Bono getting the ball, shooting it wide. He was a draft choice of Minnesota. Another small player, 5'4", so he stands tall over Stan Cummins by an inch. Long ball for Kapka, off of Z, and it goes out of play.
And we'll remind everybody that our broadcast is intended for the private use of our viewing audience. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or the other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Civic Arena Corporation and the Pittsburgh Spirit is prohibited.
It's interesting to note, John, that Drago Debovic has not played a shift tonight. He played limited over the weekend, as we said before, even though he is the team's leading scorer. And we've heard this kind of a quote before. Alan Merrick said that he was kind of sitting him out because when Drago is in, and we see him there now for his first chip, the game is a lot more offensive. And they were looking more for a defensive game plan against San Diego, so they did not play him much. but he's out there now. But it took almost the entire first quarter before Merrick put him on.
Well, it obviously worked on that last West Coast trip.
He got the game winner, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And 2 victories, both by scores of 3-2.
Despite the fact that he did not play regular. Usian, right side to Fogarty. Knocking it back. Bono for the strikers to Drago Dembovic. He can work some magic. Gives it to Usian. Thompson Usian, right-footed shot is blocked by Dave McKenzie.
And that's block number 16 for Dave McKenzie.
Kazbek Tambi lifting it. Broken up though by Godfrey Ingram. He's got room to run. Godfrey with the Jets on over midfield. Into the attack zone, gets around Fogarty, badly beats him. Played it into the box, Kapka, can he turn it around? He's hounded by Fogarty, played it out, a quick shot is blocked. Gergov getting a whack. Dudek off the boards, but taken by Usian. For Drago Dembovic, and Drago's gonna dance with it.
And 2 years ago, you remember, Dembovic was the 4th leading scorer on the Pittsburgh Spirit.
Look at this, Drago getting free to the right-footed shot went wide. Forced that shot from way out, Willie. Passing really to no one. Godfrey Ingram is there, and Godfrey will travel with it. Hooks it back for Gergiev. Freddie tries to go long for Kapka, but it's blocked by a couple of players, and off the boards is taken by Stan Cummins.
Actually, a fairly quiet first quarter as we get inside 2 minutes, John Paul. Neither team has had very many shots.
Pittsburgh's best opportunity came when Charlie Green was opened by the penalty arc and shot it upstairs. Minnesota came close on a couple of occasions, but it has not been an offensive first quarter. But that's good, I think, for Pittsburgh, especially if the score stays like this. If they're going to slow it down, I would expect that it would be more of a low-scoring game than high-scoring.
And that's exactly what Coach Don Popovic would like to see.
Yeah. Right now, I don't think Pittsburgh can match Minnesota firepower, fire for fire. Ball played into the box, but it's behind Charlie Green on the play of Sibbies.
And Charlie Green that time, I think John Paul was looking for Ian to use the boards instead of bringing the pass straight across and reversing it to him. He was looking for a rebound, and it didn't come.
Low to Vegas, right side. Stan Cummins for David Byrne, and Cummins is going to be open. Klicharski's going to chase him from behind. Cummins a shot, and he missed. Right side, Byrne hooks it. Off the boards, rebound is in. Jan Goosens, who had 49 last year, and they're not booing, they're saying goose. 1-0 Minnesota.
They worked it well. They kept the ball alive, and of course Goosens, who was the team's leading scorer a year ago, but off to a little bit of a slow start this year. Goosens picking up his 3rd goal of the season. You'll see the ball come down. Cummins keeps it in play, it crosses, but see where Goosens is? He's setting himself up. The ball is driven in from outside by David Byrne. There he is for the rebound, and it comes at 13:57. Here's another look, JP.
You're going to notice, well, not right now because he's out of focus, but Goosens got behind Dave McKenzie. They had a good battle going, and Goosens got credit for the goal as he was right there. A good battle, but the offensive player that time won it as John O'Hara picks it up. We're back to the action. 1-0. The assist going to Byrne. Goosens the goal at 13:57. Tough ones to give up, John, near the end or the beginning of a quarter, and that one came with 1:03 to go in this quarter.
And Byrne is another rookie, a first-year player in the MISL, off to a good start.
Low to Vegas, left side, Dangerfield, great save for David Bursich. That's the best save of the quarter. Byrne may be a rookie in the MISL, but he's been around. He's played in the NASL, and he's done well. Here's another look, John.
And Dangerfield is wide open. He has the far side of the net. He tries to go that way, but Bursich is able to punch it out of there.
Not only was that the best save of the quarter, but an outstanding save when you consider that that would have been the 2nd goal given up by Pittsburgh right there, so he keeps it close by keeping it out. Goosen setting it behind a player. Low to Vegas will get it. He uses the boards pretty well, but right now he's in traffic. Played it right out to Charlie Green perfectly. 16 seconds left. Charlie with a chance, running it upfield. He can fly. Green taking it right side. Stopping, 10 seconds are left, though. Right side, Topolsky cranks it and it goes up too high. Adam knew how much time was left, or approximately how much time, and he just cranked it. He has been playing extremely consistent soccer, very good soccer, during the first part of this season. 9 games into it. This is the 10th game for the Pittsburgh Spirit, and they come in at 6-3. Minnesota at 8-3. 7 seconds left as Tino Lettieri will put it in play. Again, we remind you that telephone number 642-2067 for discount tickets for the December 20th game against Minnesota Strikers. Operator standing by right now as Lettieri gets set to throw. Now he'll just put it down by his feet and let the clock go. And that will do it. The horn sounds, ending this opening quarter of play from Minnesota as we look at Tino Lettieri, his team leading 1-0 over the Spirit. You're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
It belonged to the Minnesota Strikers. It came with just over a minute left in the opening quarter here in the Met Center. Bringing it in and setting it up was Cummins. He takes the shot, misses to the far side, but there for the rebound is David Byrne. Now watch David Byrne as he will head it back toward David Bursich. Kicks away from him, and just getting inside of Dave McKenzie is Jan Goossens, 1-0, and that's where we stand right now. Unfortunately, no goals for the Pittsburgh Spirit.
There's the culprit who scored the goal to make it a 1-0 lead for Minnesota. We'd like to remind the kids in our viewing audience that Burger King would like you to become the honorary ball boy or girl for an upcoming Spirit home game. Just send a postcard to the Spirit telling in 25 words or less why you should be that person. Winners will receive an invitation to a future game where they'll get a free Spirit jersey, an autographed soccer ball, and a photograph with a Spirit player. Send your entries to Burger King Spirit, ball boy or girl, Civic Arena, gate number 7, Pittsburgh, 15219. Here's an entertaining character, one of the Strikers' mascots. We'd like to welcome a new contestant on our Giant Eagle Goal-Getter contest. It is Pat Reed. She has chosen Ian Sibbies. Gertrude Tribodi is not a winner, but she will be a winner of sorts because she'll get a consolation prize, a gift certificate from Armor Meats. And hopefully there's some goals for Pittsburgh in the second quarter. We'll leave it to John Sanders to call them right now as Minnesota leads 1-0.
So we start the second 15 minutes of play. Home team kicking off in the second and the fourth quarters. Visiting team in the first and third. And right now we have changed in, so the Spirit will be going from left to right as you watch at home. Glad to be with you on KDKA TV in Pittsburgh. Our first of 8 telecasts coming up through the rest of the season. And we're going to improve that TV record before this year is over.
Start tonight, John.
Okay. Dave Hagen is on to start the second quarter of play. Right at the top of the arc, turns. Still with it. It's blocked, knocked away in front. Back to get it is Dudek. Shots in the first period for Pittsburgh 5 and for Minnesota 7. And the Strikers had the lone goal. Tried to get it to Paul Child and couldn't. Minnesota will take over. We have played less than a minute in the second quarter of play. There's Alan Woolley from England. Many of the players on this team from England, like Ken Fogarty. Many of these players in their second full season in the MISL, and they've really come on strong. Strikers trying to set it up in front. Dudek knocks it away. Tamby drives it deep into the seats at 13:53 left in the first half. 1-0, Minnesota leading.
There's a look at Kazbek Tamby. We remind you we still have the operators standing by at 642-2067 for you to save money. An $11 ticket for $9 if you call now. That game coming up in the arena on December 20th, and it'll be your first chance to welcome Drago Dumbovic back to Pittsburgh. He has only played in the one shift tonight. I do think we'll see him again, John. But basically, Minnesota was thinking a little bit more defensively, and they feel that when Drago's out there and you see him, the game is a little more wide open. And in the first quarter, it was not. It was more of a defensive game. 7 shots, as you mentioned, for Minnesota, 5 for Pittsburgh. Only one big save, I thought, for Bursich, and maybe Lettieri had one, but that was about it.
You can see the pressure being applied by Chris Dangerfield. That's the way they like to play it. Dudek breaks that, moves across the red line, drives it up and out of play. It'll still be Pittsburgh ball as they went off the foot of a Minnesota defender and out of play. 13 minutes and 33 seconds left in the first half. 1-0. The Strikers got a goal with just a minute and 3 seconds left in the first quarter. There's Dudek, who had the knee problem, missed some games. Actually came back quicker than anybody expected, John Paul.
Very strong player for the Spirit.
Right in front, knocked away, but Topolsky takes over. To Godfrey Ingram, who has been hot of late. He's marked by David Byrne. Back it comes to Topolsky. Dangerfield on him. They drop it into the corner where Gergerev will take over in front of Fogarty. A drive by Kapka is up and out of play as well, and that one deep into the seats at the Met Center. Capacity here over 15,000. They are averaging about 8,500 fans a game. This game is also being telecast locally in the Minnesota area. A hot start for the Strikers of Alan Merrick. 8-3 as they come in, 5-0 here, and 3-3 on the road. I tell you, the fact that they have been able to beat Baltimore in Baltimore, San Diego in San Diego, is indeed an early season feat.
Alan Merrick said the only team that is very strong this year that they haven't beaten and they were looking forward to beating them is Pittsburgh, because they've beaten everyone else. You mentioned too, John, the attendance. Last year they averaged 4809. This year 7732. That is almost 3,000 fans more per game, and if they're drawing this well this early, look out, especially if they can keep that record up.
They're putting a little water on the ice, trying to seal down the carpet for the goal kick that's coming up from Tino Lettieri. 13:15 left in the second quarter of play. 4 15-minute quarters in the MISL. Lettieri gets it to Cantor. Back to Tino, who'll pick it up. Gergerev is down doing a little forechecking, trying to keep some pressure on. Lettieri now will walk it out. We have played 2 minutes now in the second quarter. The only goal of the game by Jan Goossens, right at the end of the first quarter of play. Vegas, a Canadian, chips it inside. Good pass and a shot and a goal. Scoring the goal is Stan Cummins. He got a great feed on a backheel pass. A gorgeous feed to Cummins. He knocked the goal in, and it was David Byrne with his second assist of the night, and that's a beautiful pass.
Well, the pass, John, was better than the goal. Time of the goal is going to be at 2:12, but watch it here. Vegas to Byrne. He knows where his man is. That's not an accident. He plays it perfectly to Cummins, and Stan Cummins beats the defense. Nothing David Bursic could do there. Time of the goal, 2:12. Let's see if we can see it from a different angle as Vegas. Watch Byrne off the inside of the right foot, and here's Cummins splitting two defenders, basically. Tuksha and Kapka to make it a 2-0 Minnesota lead.
Just caught the right corner. Foul goes against the Pittsburgh Spirit. That's the first one of the second quarter of play. 2-0 now, Minnesota on top. Cummins from Byrne, after Byrne set up Jan Goossens at the end of the first quarter. 2-0. Boy, great pass.
Byrne came in tonight, 7 goals and only a couple of assists, but he's picked up some assists of late, and these 2 are very big.
Well, remember, he's playing in the MISL in his first season, and that was Cummins' 7th goal of the year. Shows you the offensive firepower of Minnesota. They've been scoring 5 goals a game, 56 coming in. Same type of pass Cummins attempted there. Spirit still can't control. The strikers take over. Vegas, who set the last goal up with a nice chip, a good feed into the corner to Byrne. Back to Vegas at his own red line, trying to get around Gergerev. Does. Drives it in front. Picked off by Ingram. So with 11:45 left in the first half, the Spirit will go to work. Ingram with Tuksha on one side and Kapka on the other side. Godfrey drives it. Left-hand save made by Lettieri. Back to Ingram it comes. He reverses to McKenzie, and David works it in. Tuksha tries to go to the corner, broken up there and out of play off the foot of Jan Goossens. 11:27 left in the half. Tino Lettieri and the Strikers up 2-0 on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
You'll find it at the store with the song you can.
Coming up from the Pittsburgh Spirit, Ingram will put it in play. He's got McKenzie just to his left. Let's see what the Spirit decide to do. They come back, a shot and a save. O'Hara took the shot, Lettieri made the save. And he quickly feeds out to David Byrne, who's off to a big start tonight. Ingram will pick it up for Pittsburgh and starts back for the Spirit. Spirit in all yellow tonight. Fogarty intercepts. Got Dangerfield ahead. Now he settles it down and goes near side to Tony Bono, another rookie on this team. College draft pick, as John Paul mentioned earlier. We have 10:50 to play in the first half. 2-0, Minnesota leading. Fogarty at midfield, directing traffic. Byrne being marked by Gergerev. Gergerev is called for the foul. That's 2 on Pittsburgh, none so far in the second quarter. We've had very few fouls called in the game. Little give and go, but it's broken up by Gergerev as Dangerfield was teaming up with Tamby. Now back comes Kapka looking for Gergerev, and Fred's got it. McKenzie now with a little bit of room. In the corner to Kapka. Z is back to the goal. Brings it back to Gergerev. Looking for Ingram. It'll be picked up by Fogarty. 10 minutes and 10 seconds left in the first half. Thus far, we have not seen much offensive pressure at all from the Spirit, JP.
No, and it'll be interesting to see what they do to try and change that. One of their better players, one-on-one, who might be able to break some of that pressure is Marcio Leite, but he's at home in Pittsburgh with a groin injury that's not bad or not that serious, but Don Popovic says it's better to rest him than have him sit out a month if he does some real damage to it.
Nicky Klincharski back with Charlie Green to his right. Feeds it to Charlie. Civies trails the play. And Green brings it back to Adam Topolsky. Topolsky to Civies. Back to Green. Charlie walks it in. Now works to the corner. Off the boards in front. Civies could not get his foot on the ball. He was wide open, JP, just could not come up with it, and Alan Willie starts back for Minnesota.
That was one way to get some offense into the game. If they get chances like that, they've got to capitalize. One way they can also do it, John, is they can have their defenders go up, but I think it's still a little bit early for that, and I think Don Popovic's game plan is very sound going into this. He doesn't want to run with them. He doesn't want to get into that kind of an offensive showdown with them, because I don't think he has the guns like Minnesota has right now at this stage of the season to compete. So we'll see, but there's still a lot of time left. But Pittsburgh has had a couple of nice chances. They just haven't cashed in.
9 minutes left, first half. Sibbies works it back to the red line and sets up. As quickly Byrne hustles back. He was off. Green. Koncharski will drive one. Misses far to the right side. Adam Topolsky trying to pick up the rebound off the board, and does. But there's Byrne again for Minnesota. David Byrne has played well. Byrne with assists on the only 2 goals in the game. They both belong to the Strikers. Minnesota right now taking their own time, controlling play a little bit. Here's Byrne. John Bain goes inside, and there's the goal coming off the foot of Chris Dangerfield. So Bain fed Dangerfield, and it's 3-0 Minnesota.
John, one of the tactics in the MISL is to change the speed of the game, change the pace. You mentioned that Minnesota was slowing it down. I think they caught Pittsburgh ball watching. They lulled Pittsburgh to sleep and made the perfect pass to Dangerfield. Bain led this team in assists. Here's a reason why, or one of the reasons. Watch how he holds the ball. Then Dangerfield breaks to the outside. Versic looked like he had the angle, but apparently did not. Time of the goal, 6:46 as we look at it once more.
And here's Bain. There's the pass. Now watch Dangerfield. He has to go down and get it. And he just hooks it past, or actually between the legs of goalkeeper David Bersic. Dangerfield with his 5th goal, Bain his 5th assist.
Good communication, too. Bain knew where he wanted to play it, but he also knew that the player, Dangerfield, was breaking. And similar to football, John, when you have the quarterback and the wide receiver, the timing and knowing where a person is going to break, that's what happened right there.
It is 3-0 Minnesota. Now the Spirit are going to have to pick up the pace, or they're going to be blown out. And believe me, Minnesota's capable of scoring a lot of goals in a game.
Well, the thing that really could settle in here, and you don't want to see it, is Pittsburgh. It becomes a mental thing. They know they haven't won on the road, believe it or not, and it's been written in the paper too. They know they haven't won on television. It gets to be a thing now where they're going and they're trying to fight an uphill battle. So they need to get on the board for confidence sake and show that they can play with Minnesota, or else they could face what you were referring to. They could be blown out.
7:30 left in the first half. All Strikers thus far. Picked off by Dudek. He comes back to David Bersic, and Bersic certainly has been hot. He has played in most of the games so far this year. Joe Papaleo is dressed again, but he has not seen any action so far in this season. Falzone runs it into the corner where he's double-teamed, dropped, and the foul goes against Minnesota.
You know, John, it hasn't been a one-sided game. Minnesota has capitalized on 3 good chances, but it's not like they've dominated completely and taken the Spirit apart. But when they've had a chance, they've scored. Pittsburgh has not been able to do it.
7:10 to play in the first half. McKenzie chipping it to Green, turning, and there's the goal.
There it is. Hagen, Mr. Television.
He finally comes through. Hagen's first of the year. He gets it off a shot taken by Charlie Green. No chance for Lettieri, who was away from the ball when Hagen tapped it home, and the Spirit are on the board.
And that's a very big goal, simply from the confidence standpoint that I was alluding to earlier. The Spirit needed that one to get close.
So it is 3-1, and you're watching Pittsburgh Spirit soccer. To play in the first half. Dave Hagen with his first goal of the year. He followed up the shot by Charlie Green. Somehow Charlie managed to get the ball between Tino Lettieri and the boards, and it kind of squeezed in there. Watch the play as he turns, and he gets past Lettieri. Well, it's no problem for Hagen.
No, Fogarty missed it. He had a chance to clear, but Hagen was right there on the doorstep. That's what Pittsburgh needs. They need players in the right situation. If Hagen isn't there, if he's not at the far post, they don't even have a chance at that goal, but he was. And we look again at the positioning. Watch Green battling. Fogarty misses, but Hagen is right there. His first goal of the season, and he continues to impress on the TV games.
And we go back to live action. 3 fouls now against the Spirit. 6:56 left in the first half. Strikers will put it in play. Topolsky intercepts. Hagen in a collision. And Adam clearing to Paul Child, who's alone. Child takes it in against Lettieri, uses the boards, but no rebound. Right there to break it up was Dwight Lodevegas, and we come all the way back the other way quickly. At midfield, Hagen will try to track it down. Does, but gives it up to Alan Willie. Willie crossing, but it's intercepted by Topolsky, trying to get it over to Stan Cummins. Now loose at midfield. The call will go against Cummins. Foul number 2.
And Pittsburgh playing with a little more aggressiveness, a little more confidence after that goal. It's nothing like a goal to pick you up. And if anything, they woke up the Minnesota Strikers and let them know it may not be as easy as it looked on those 3 goals.
3-1 is the score as Adam Topolsky works it in. Hagen using the boards, trying to reverse it to Paul Child off the boards. It's picked off by Lettieri. Lettieri rolls it ahead to Lodovegas. As John Bain hustles back on, and he picks it up in the attack zone. Coming in is Dangerfield, a drive in front, knocked away by McKenzie. See, Kapka now starts back. Spirit had the advantage 4-on-3 for a moment. Now Godfrey Ingram runs to the corner, drives it for Child. It's behind him. It'll be picked up by David Byrne. Byrne with 2 assists thus far. He assisted on the first 2 Minnesota goals. Strikers built a 3-0 lead before Dave Hagen broke the string. It's 3-1 with 5:35 left first half.
And that Hagen goal at 7:55, his first of the year, the assist to Charlie Green.
And Charlie's first assist of the year. Ingram breaks it up, gets it away from Byrne, moves it ahead. Now he's got Kapka on his left, Child on the right. Back to Ingram. He's got some space, and it's blocked away. Nicely done that time by Dwight Lodovegas.
He definitely saved the goal there because Ingram's shot was right on, and actually the Spirit had a very nice rush there. Kapka and Ingram working very well together, and Godfrey's shot was labeled. Here's Z working it. As you mentioned, John, he had Child to the right, but it's played back to Godfrey. He winds and fires, but there's Lodovegas. He had Lettieri going down early.
And if he'd gotten it up, it had been a goal, no question about it.
We'll take a different angle view. Z Kapka pushing it inside. There's Godfrey, who's played so well of late for the Spirit. Offensive player of the game, last couple of games in Pittsburgh.
Spirit controlling Ingram, marked by Goosens in the corner. Now he's double teamed, taken away by Alan Willie. Back comes Child, can't control. Long lead ball now as the Strikers try to counterattack quickly. Down on the deck goes Tony Bono, but he picks it up. Here's Alan Willie with a little bit of room, chipping it. Knocked down in front, picked up now by Kapka. 4:50 left, first half. Bursic ahead for Z Kapka. Civvies is alone. Nice save on the leg by Tino Lettieri. Goosens now takes over. All of a sudden, Ian had a lot of room.
What a great ball, though. Kapka laid it right in there. But that's what Pittsburgh needs, opportunities. They're not going to score if they don't get the chances, and they're getting some chances of late.
Klinczarski sets up McKenzie, who's on with John O'Hara right now. 4:25 left, first half, 3-1. Here's O'Hara. Gives up the ball. Strikers take over. They'll try to start their offense as Dan Cantor is double teamed in the corner, can't clear. Gets it ahead to Bono, back to Cantor. Spirit putting on some pressure here as we count down toward 4 minutes left in the first half of play. Bono, the scramble at midfield, and the Spirit take over. Topolsky looking for Klinczarski. He's got some room for Child, knocked away in front. Topolsky trying to follow, settles and drives it out of play. 3:47 left, 3-1. The Strikers lead on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
Herb, no matter.
Bloomington, Minnesota. Strikers off to a 3-0 lead, but Dave Hagen's first goal of the year cuts it to 3-1. There is a discussion down on the field at the present time between John O'Hara's Don Popovic on the far side of the field wants to know the results of that conversation.
They've announced the penalty, it sounds like, on the Spirit. That's what it sounded like. There was an official's timeout on the field when we broke away for that last commercial. Isn't that what it sounded like, you said?
It did. We'll see what they do.
But the penalty box door is not open at the moment. There's Don Popovic.
Is that a look of disbelief?
Yeah, it sure is. But right now nobody is going over, so maybe it's just a warning. But I thought they said penalty over the public address. Right before, John, we took that last break, a nice play by Adam Topolsky. He really would have liked to have hit that ball on the volley in the first time, but he couldn't do it. No way could he get his foot that high and get that ball by a defender. So he settled it with his left foot, brought it around to his right, and then got a shot away, but it just sailed too high. But it just showed you the all-around skills of a player like a Topolsky. In the heavy traffic that he was in, being able to settle a ball down, which sometimes these players make it look easier than it actually is.
Well, the conversation has been held with both the Spirit team captain and now the coach of the strikers, Alan Merrick, and we are ready for the final 3:47 of quarter number 2. A 3-1 Minnesota lead. It'll be a goal kick for Lettieri. Fogarty comes back to help him.
But whatever they announced, if they said penalty, it didn't happen because there's no one in the box and each team playing with the proper manpower strength.
Gergerev is down trying to get in between Fogarty and the Spirit come up with a loose ball. Now Fogarty back. Runs it into the Spirit zone. He had David Byrne for a minute. Couldn't get the ball to him. Lodevegas. Using the left foot, drives it right across the goal mouth. Byrne picks it up in the corner. Fogarty. It's intercepted there nicely by Dudek. Actually, Fogarty never really got his foot on the ball.
Public address announcer John just said that there is no 2-minute violation. He said something before that, and then that drew the boos of the crowd. We'll try to find out what it was if we can at halftime. May have just been a mistake. Maybe it was just a warning originally.
3 minutes left in the first half of play. Topolsky loses to Byrne. I think it's more of Minnesota adapting to Pittsburgh's style of play in the first half.
Right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that last goal shook up Minnesota a little bit. Pittsburgh has had a lot more chances the other way. They've looked stronger offensively. Nicky just gets hit. That's a real dangerous play. They're calling Alan Willie, and you see Nicky going down. And right now they're calling for Dave Douglas, the trainer.
And that means that Klincharski will have to go off. Gergerev's argument here is why not a 2-minute penalty?
Right. That was a pretty flagrant, dangerous play called. And I'm sure that's what Freddie is arguing about. That foot went high into the air and caught Nicky somewhere in the facial area. I don't know if it's the nose, the eye, or what. On the mouth as he holds that, now goes to the Spirit bench. Nicky very deceptively quick for the Spirit. We'll look at it here. Coming back, Cummins with a header the other way. Nicky with his head down, and he just got caught. Just a foul for dangerous play, no penalty. 2:42 to go before halftime, but if Pittsburgh can either narrow it to 1 goal, or even if they go in like this, going down 3-1, at halftime is a lot better than 3-0. Psychologically, that last goal really helped the Spirit.
Charlie Falzone trying to play it back for Helmut Dudek. It's a little bit too far, and Dudek with 2:30 left in the first half will bring it back. And that's going to be a foul. Late call. That's 4 now against the Minnesota Strikers. Essie Baharmist on the far side of the field waited a while before he blew the whistle.
You wanted to see a replay, I think.
Here's Hagen, who has the lone Spirit goal, leaves it for Dudek. Almost a little bit of a misplay and communication there. Now Dudek with some space, drives it left foot, knocked down in front. He gets the rebound, and there's Lettieri to make the save. A strong game defensively for Dwight Lodevegas. He's made a couple of key blocks, and Lettieri was equal to the second shot. 2 minutes now left in the first half. Jan Goossens right in front. Diving is David Bursic. He had Alan Willie on the doorstep and was able to keep him away. Back comes Falzone. John Bain runs with him as they go down into the near corner. 1:41 left in the first half. 3-1, Minnesota leading. Hagen for Tuchel. Val tries to reverse, maintains control. He's double teamed now as the strikers try to come up with a break. It goes over the glass and out of play. Dangerfield applying the pressure there for Minnesota. And the Spirit will make a change. Kapka, Godfrey Ingram, Fred Gergerev coming back on for the forward line.
Some of these players like Dangerfield and Goossens played for Don Popovic in Golden Bay, so he knows what they can do. And they did well for him. They're doing just as well here. Goossens even better.
Byrne with some pressure against McKenzie. He also has John Bain there as well as they double team McKenzie in the corner, and the call goes against Minnesota. So that's now 5.
Mack did a great job in drawing that foul. He's very strong along the boards, and he knew he had an advantage there. If he could at least get a foul, he'd be in good shape. If not, he definitely didn't want to lose the ball that deep in his own territory. He played it well.
Off the boards, Tuchel looking for the rebound. McKenzie now follows up. A minute left in the first half. Tuchel battling against Lettieri. It's knocked away by Minnesota, out of play.
Spirit wanted a handball in Fogarty, and now Lettieri either pushed or in some way dropped Val Tuchel, and he's getting a penalty. I saw Tuchel go down. I didn't see Lettieri go forward. I don't know whether Val did a little acting to draw it, and I don't know, John, whether you saw it better.
But we are going to have a 2-minute penalty. Let's go back and take a look at what happened as the action got hot and heavy inside. The Spirit applying some pressure. What happens to Tino as he gets out? Tries to punch it overtook you.
I think Val's going to be upset with this. Godfrey made a nice play. I thought Fogarty hit it with his hand. They're going to probably say it was accidental, so they didn't call it. I thought they were going to call a penalty on Lettieri.
I think they're going to call it on both of them.
Well, yeah, both doors are open now. Both doors are open as we look at Tino Lettieri of the Minnesota Strikers. McKenzie will play it in. I thought there they were going to get a goal, but Lettieri did a great job. Here's Godfrey. Off the hand, you see the Spirit players appealing it. Now watch. I don't know if we see it. See? I saw Tuchia go down, but I couldn't tell whether Lettieri went forward and maybe butted him or didn't touch him. I mean, I've seen Val act sometimes with the New York Arrows. We've seen him do it on TV, right?
I tell you what, it looked like Lettieri just chested him to the deck.
Looked like he said, looked like words knocked him down, right?
Less than a minute to play, 56 seconds.
He certainly got up and he was okay. Nothing serious.
Well, the greatest actor in the league is still Stan.
Yes, he is. You had a good line about Stan today, if you can recall it.
I said he'd taken more dives than Greg Louganis.
Right.
There's no question about that. Thompson, you see, and will serve the penalty. Lettieri stays on. 56 seconds left. The teams each one player short. It'll be 4-on-4.
Opens up a lot of space in the field, but there's not a lot of time left. Good situation, though, for the Spirit with a corner kick.
Ingram checking for Gergerev. Topolsky. It went off his arm, so they'll turn it over. Team fouls are even now at 5 apiece, and we still have 53 seconds left. If we should get that 6th foul on either team, we would carry that penalty over into the second half.
I'd like to see the 4-on-4. I'd like to see it for a little bit longer because, like I say, it does open up a lot more space on the field, and it's tough to think defensive when you've got that much room.
Tamby against Ingram. Gergerev is also on, along with Topolsky and John O'Hara. Tony Bono, the rookie, on in this situation for Minnesota. Right in front, it comes off the leg of Gary Etherington, who is playing primarily this year. First time we've seen him tonight. He's playing primarily on the penalty killing unit. They're not in a penalty killing situation, but Gary is on. That's what he's been doing mostly for Minnesota this year. Jan Goossens also returns to add some scoring punch to this unit of 4, and Fogarty will go off. They bring out Goossens when they get in an offensive situation. They'll keep Fogarty out now. 20 seconds left in the first half. All the way back to Lettieri, who's out at his own red line. Seconds. And it would appear that the Strikers are going to let the first half run out. Tamby now with 4 seconds. Drives it into the corner, chipped in front, batted away by Bursic, and that's it.
I would like to remind everyone while we're here at halftime that we still have that television offer waiting for you if you'd like to take advantage of it. Friday, December 20th, the Spirit meet the same Minnesota Strikers team that you're watching tonight. And if you call right now, you get $2 off on an $11 seat. It's an $11 seat. You get it for $9 if you call during our broadcast tonight. So call right now, 642-2067 right now, and be there for the return appearance of Drago Dymbovic and this Minnesota Strikers team. $11 seats for $9 right now. We're at halftime, and the score, Minnesota 3, Pittsburgh 1, and you're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer. When Godfrey Ingram first came to America, he thought he was here for, well, maybe a 6-month pass, nothing more. But come to find out some 4 years later, Godfrey Ingram is making a career in America.
I really couldn't see myself staying in America when I first came to the country because, you know, I come from a big family and I thought it was going to be really tough being away from them for any length of time. I thought America was going to be all skyscrapers and Dallas and, you know, Starsky and Hutch. And the first time I came over was to New York, and it turned out to be just that. The second time I came to San Jose expecting all these great big skyscrapers, and I found a very nice family-orientated community.
Soccer is not the only thing in Godfrey's life.
I like to do a lot of boating. We bought a boat around about 2 years ago. I think it was the best thing we did, and we spent nearly every summer, you know, learning about boating and enjoying the water. I love being on the water. That's really my first love. Well, second love. My wife's my first love. I'd like to sail around the world. I really would like to do that, and I'd like to get into some kind of chartering business with sailboats. We're planning at the moment to try to add to our Dali collection. At the moment we've got one called the Village de Paranoia. In San Jose and Las Vegas we work with underprivileged kids, kids who've been to juvenile court and stuff, and you know, we put on a camp for them, a free camp, and you know, a day out, a picnic and stuff like that.
The Ingram family has another famous member, his brother Graham.
Graham, my brother, just signed a recording contract with EMI. He plays bass guitar, and they were recently in Manhattan recording some stuff.
How do you compare yourself, Godfrey, to your brother as a musician?
I was a lot better. I was really talented at guitar, and Graham came along. I had a bass guitar, and one Christmas I couldn't make my mind up what to buy my brother, and I was getting sick of this bass guitar, so I wrapped it up in some cheap paper, and I put a card on, and I said, "That's your Christmas present."
Ingram's feelings when he gets on the floor are unique.
Whenever I go out on the field, I always make a point of looking up into the stands, and whether there's five people in the stands or if there's 50,000 people in the stands, I try and pick out a couple of individuals, and I say to myself, well, you know, these people are paid good money, and I really want to entertain them. I see soccer as being an entertainment sport. We have to go out and entertain, and my style is geared to that. I like to sometimes do flashy things, sometimes I overdo it a little bit. You know, outdoor is still really my favourite, but I realise now that my career is going to be completely indoor, and I'm quite happy with that.
Spirit, they outshot Minnesota 11-2, and they really came on strong at the end of that second quarter. It'll be important for Pittsburgh to get off to a good start. We'll let John Sanders take you through the third quarter and see if they can do just that, John.
Keep in mind it's still 4-on-4 because we still have Thompson Usean serving a penalty for Tino Lettieri, and also Val Tuksha in the penalty box, both for unsportsmanlike conduct. The other situation in that first half was a warning against Don Popovic of the Pittsburgh Spirit by the officials. So that's where we stand. The Spirit will kick it off to start the third quarter of play. 15 minutes in each quarter. 3-1 is our score. Minnesota out in front. And we are delighted to have you with us tonight from the cold north. Down to 0 tonight, but even colder tomorrow. Kapka quickly back against Dan Cantor. Goes out of play. Pittsburgh Spirit. There's Cantor, newest member of this team, 24 years old, came from Chicago in the trade for Collins. Oh, almost lost by Tino Lettieri as see Kapka was right on the doorstep, so is Ingram, but the strikers will come out. At midfield, McKenzie reverses to Bursic. David will control. To John O'Hara. We played 30 seconds in the third quarter. 3-1. Strikers lead the Spirit. Battle for first place in the MISL's Eastern Division. What an improved team Minnesota is. They really came on at the end of last year, played well in the playoffs, almost got to the championship. It was a rather controversial series they had with San Diego. They were blown away in the fifth and deciding game 7-0. Byrne is there for Minnesota. Gets it back to Cantor. The penalties are over. Usean is back on, so is Tuksha. Val will run to the bench. Usean comes out, and he will play. Lodovegas takes over for Minnesota. 5 against 5 now. For the second time, we see number 12, Drago Dumbovic. For Fogarty, Child trying to run it down, can't do it. Fogarty, and that foul will go against Z. Kapka. First foul. Quickly, the strikers put the ball in play, but McKenzie takes over for the Spirit. To Kapka. Lettieri comes out to bring it back to Thompson Usean. On with Dumbovic. Sibby's from behind and is taken over by John O'Hara. Nicky Klincharski, one of the new members of the Pittsburgh Spirit. Of course, the big story in Pittsburgh last week was the possibility that the Lord of all indoors, Steve Jungle, would come to Pittsburgh, and it was very close to happening. Only the fact that he would not bend on a no-trade contract, a no-trade clause in his contract, that's what killed the deal. Here's Dumbovic. He'd
look good in black and gold, wouldn't he, Steve Jungle?
Certainly would. And, of course, the rumors persist that Stan Terlecki might someday return. But apparently, John Paul, that's not going to happen.
Well, that's the latest word, but you never know it. It seems to change.
It does change. Child with it outside the box. Goes back to Adam Topolsky to Child. Good give and go. Topolsky with a little bit of room, but going down to block it is Lodovegas. Lodovegas has had 2 or 3 big blocks. Sibby's intercepts. Now Child trying to control. Does, but he'll bring it back to the red line. 12 minutes, 13 seconds left, third quarter. 3-1, Minnesota leads. Here's Helmut Dudek to Child. Off the boards in front for Sibby's and Dudek, and again it's blocked. That time it was Tamby who blocked the shot. Excuse me, it was Fogarty who blocked the shot. And back comes Jan Goossens with some room down the right side. Overrunning and hoping somebody was behind him was Cummins. Headed away, settled in front by Willie. His shot misses to the left. Lodovegas with a drive, saved by Bursic.
That could have been disaster for Pittsburgh, John, because they are outplaying Minnesota at this point, but they need to get that goal before Minnesota gets one. They need to narrow that gap and continue with that confidence, especially the way they're playing. They're very aggressive at the start of the third quarter.
Topolsky with a drive. It's knocked away in front by Willie. Lodovegas takes over. 11:25 left, third quarter. Goossens. Jan will work it up. With him is Bain on the right side. Bain with some room. Off the boards, tries to feed himself, and we've got a penalty against Pittsburgh. It'll be a delayed call. A penalty against the Pittsburgh Spirit coming up. 3-1. The Strikers lead on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
You know, supermarket weekly specials don't save you money, they cost you money. Because when a store lowers...
MISL's best power play in action for Minnesota here as we return to live action. Here's the penalty, John Paul.
Well, they're going to show it to Topolsky. That didn't look very good. Looked like Goossens just kind of went around him and dove, actually.
And on the power play, we return to live action. It's deflected out of play.
We only had a quick look at it, but it really didn't look all that serious. It really didn't. It looked like Adam stayed in the way. Didn't really throw his shoulder into them like you would think a charge would come from. And it looked like Goossens just kind of tried to avoid him and went sprawling. It was a delayed penalty. You don't see that happen too often. But here's a very important situation for Pittsburgh because they've outplayed Minnesota of late, but they can't afford to give one up here.
They've converted 6 of 11 on the power play. The Strikers have the best in the MISL. Drive in front. Bursic, a great save. David Bursic that time robbing Alan Willie, who was right on the doorstep. Now long lead ball to Charlie Green. On the far side, he had some room with Tuksha, but he can't get the ball to him. Taken away by Goossens. Green wanted a call, didn't get it. 1:14 still remaining in that penalty. Byrne at the point on the power play. Drive in front is knocked away and out of play by John O'Hara. It's O'Hara and Tuksha, along with Green and also Godfrey Ingram. The speed out front, the defenders in the back on the penalty-killing unit. And the Spirit, as John Paul mentioned earlier, 7th in the league in penalty killing. They've killed 3 out of... they've given up 3 out of 7. They've killed 4. Goossens drives it right in front. It's knocked away. Back it comes to Goossens. This is Byrne. Green tries to tackle it away. Goossens with some room. Bursic is there. O'Hara picks it up. Goes to Green, but it's kept in by Byrne. The Strikers now with 37 seconds left in the penalty shot, knocked away in front. The man working the box is Chris Dangerfield for Minnesota, and they've got another 30 seconds, a chance for another good rush coming up. 9:38 left in the third quarter. Drive deflected in. The goal will go to Chris Dangerfield. He gets his 2nd of the night. And that was the combination. Cummins and Dangerfield, they team up for another power play goal.
And what a shame, John, because the Spirit had done a great job. They blocked a lot of shots. 21 seconds were left on that power play, and they blocked everything that was serious from going through. But let's watch what happens here as David Byrne quarterbacks it right between the legs there of Godfrey Ingram. He had to be tired. He had a hard shift, he and Charlie Green. Here's Cummins. He's going to send it into the box. I'm not so sure if Dangerfield got that or a Spirit player. But we'll wait and see. I believe Dangerfield is going to get credit for it. Another look may prove to be the difference in terms of who gets it. Watch Dangerfield, the positioning with O'Hara. Nope, Dangerfield got it off the right foot. Great deflection.
So Dangerfield gets his second goal of the night, and it's a 3-goal lead. They convert on the power play again. 7 out of 12 this year. Battle in the corner, won by Minnesota. The Strikers have the heat on right now. 4-1, Minnesota leading. The Spirit will have to try to counter now. 9 minutes left in the third quarter of play. Dumbovic and Usian on. That's Drago with it. Works it in, shoots, knocked away by McKenzie. Back to Fogarty it comes. He heads it to John Bain. Dangerfield with 2 goals. Usian lets it roll. Dumbovic let it roll to Usian, but it's picked up by Bursic.
A great play by Drago. It's just basically a dummy play. He dummies over the ball, lets it go through to someone else, and the defenders went for the fakes. It could have been a nice play, and Usian got up to that ball.
Foul against Gergiev. Lodovegas will put it in play to Fogarty. 2 fouls on the Spirit, none on the Strikers here in the third quarter. 4-1, Minnesota leading. Thompson, Usian. Alone in front is Bain. A drive, he missed to the left side. Dudek battles Bain in the corner. The Spirit can't regain control. Now they do. Hagen on for the first time in the second half.
That could have been a disastrous mental mistake for the Pittsburgh Spirit. You could see Bain was wide open, no one near him, and he just shot it wide, luckily for Pittsburgh.
Gergiev being marked by Lodovegas. Chipping for Hagen. McKenzie settles. Controls.
Another delayed penalty.
We have a delayed penalty coming up the other way.
Yeah, Hagen got clipped pretty hard.
It will be on John Bain, or excuse me, it's on Alan Willie. He'll go to the box when we come back with 7:50 to play third quarter. A chance for the Spirit now on the power play on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
Life is a game we play every day. It's
about that. Their team, though, very happy about the scoreboard. It's 4-1. The Strikers leading the Spirit. And a chance for Pittsburgh now. They will take the timeout and the opportunity to talk about the power play coming up. The Spirit have hit on 6 out of 13. They've also done very well on the power play. We mentioned that Minnesota now 7 out of 12 with the top power play unit in the league. The Pittsburgh Spirit power play is second best in the league, so maybe we can get that goal back.
So it's the second best power play in the MISL, going against the best penalty killing unit, and the Spirit are doing it without Marcio Leite, who's back in Pittsburgh with a groin injury. So it's going to be John O'Hara taking his place on the left side. Johnny has a decent shot, and he's very steady there. The one thing he doesn't have is Marcio's flashness and the ability to take on a player one-on-one. But Don Popovic feels that his best bet right now and his safest bet is to move John O'Hara in there. John's experience is very strong and could be a very big help to the Spirit in this power play, his leadership also.
And outside of Marcio Leite, he may have the best left foot on the team, which is a key for playing that particular position on the power play. Only 3 out of 21 allowed by Minnesota. They have killed 18 out of 21 penalties. That's an amazing statistic. See what the Spirit can do. Ingram with O'Hara. Sibby's Child. Dudek drives it. He missed to the left side. Godfrey will head it back for Sibby's, and it's cleared out of the arena.
Dudek's got the best left foot, but he doesn't play that point position. Don Popovic uses him inside a little bit. He's got a better angle for a shot. But unfortunately, so far this year, a lot of the defenses have really watched him. We haven't seen him really crank like he has the capability of.
Ingram, nice pass to Dudek. Helmet settles. Back to John O'Hara. He'll go right foot to Sibby's. He settles. 1:29 left in the penalty. Chipped in front. Dudek off the board. That's a handball there. Be the first foul against Minnesota. It's called on David Byrne. David having a big night with a couple of assists. Ingram works it in. Now some room for Sibby's. Back to Ingram. Knocked away. They wanted a handball call. Did not get it that time. Here's Dudek. Helmet. Back to John O'Hara. Spirit working well. They haven't had any good shots, though. Dudek settles. Ingram. 1 minute left in the penalty. Dudek. Chipping for Ingram. You can see how their zone defense on the penalty killing goes side to side, and they do a great job of maintaining their position on the field. O'Hara. Ingram. Sibby's. Spirit looking for the opening, the crack. Dudek with a drive in front. Child scores.
And do we have a winner in the Giant Eagle Go-Getter contest? I'm more excited about that. That's why Paul Child's happy. It took, what, 2 years? But we've got one. Now that we're saying that, we can't find the name of the winner. Mark Sarver, you're a winner, partner. $300 in Giant Eagle groceries, but that's a big Spirit goal. And Child, as he does best, on the doorstep. But watch where they pass it around. Ingram, Helmut Dudek. He's passing, it looks like, from here.
the needle, didn't he?
Yeah, looks like he's passing. It could have been a shot, but it looked like from here that he was passing. Godfrey Ingram holding it, cuts it to the left. You were hearing John Sanders' remarks about the way Minnesota was playing. I like their pursuit of the ball, and they were playing it very tough, not giving the Spirit any penetrating passes until that one.
Well, the power play goals are even at 1 apiece, and we go back to that 2-goal difference. It is 4-2 Minnesota, but a big goal for the Spirit because, John Paul, they took advantage of the opportunity they had against the best penalty-killing unit in the entire MISL.
Child's 8th goal of the year at 8:37, so just 3 minutes after Minnesota scores, Pittsburgh comes back. An important goal because Minnesota had taken another 3-goal lead. Now it's down to 2. So we'll see what Pittsburgh does. They had outplayed the Strikers early, but then gave up that power play goal. So they're still very much alive.
So Paul Child picking up the goal, and he only needs 2 more to move ahead of Stan Terlecki as the all-time leading goal scorer for the Pittsburgh Spirit. 5:57 left, a 3-line pass violation, so we'll bring it all the way back to the Spirit red line where it'll be put in play by Cummins, who has played well tonight. Cummins has a goal and an assist.
Last time the Spirit scored a goal, it was Hoggins, and you remember how it picked up the Spirit. They eventually outshot Minnesota 11-2. Look at this.
Lettieri works it ahead, picking it up is Cantor. Chips it to Dumbovic. Anytime you see Thompson, you see on, you'll probably see Drago Dumbovic. Knocked down in front, but back it comes to Cantor. Cantor goes to the corner, and it's run out of there by Stan Cummins. Here's Usian. No problem for Bursic there. Rolls it for Kapka, and Z starts back with 5:14 left. Gets a little room. Now goes to Sibbies and O'Hara. So each team with a power play goal in this 3rd quarter, and it's still a 2-goal difference. It was 3-1 at halftime. It's now 4-2. A break for Dumbovic against Topolsky. Drago takes it down the left side, shoots and scores. Drago Dumbovic with his 14th goal of the season.
Minnesota leads 5-2. Topolsky never really got set up with his feet. When we look at it later, you'll notice that Adam got caught backpedaling a little bit flat-footed. Let's see if we'll pick it up from that point. Here's Low to Vegas. We may not get it. See him backpedaling. He never really got set, so Drago had the advantage on the attack. And as he sends a shot, looked like it went between the legs of Bursic. I couldn't tell from there whether it was the short side, John, or between his legs. Maybe we'll be better able to tell on this. See Adam getting caught with his feet there. This will be an angle. That's between the legs.
Second time tonight.
Yeah.
Between the legs of David Bursic. So it's back to the 3-goal edge, and that's trouble for the Pittsburgh Spirit. With 4:42 to play in the 3rd quarter. Dumbovic's 14th of the year. Low to Vegas, his 5th assist.
Points out what we talked about, though, before. You don't want to get caught running with Minnesota. They do have a lot of firepower. Every time the Spirit have tended to dominate things, even if they hadn't scored, Minnesota's been able to come right back.
And again, we're starting to run a little bit right here. There's an opening for Goossens off the back. The foul will go against Goossens, so the goal wouldn't have counted anyway, but it was McKenzie there to deflect it.
They're just going to call a pushing foul in the box against Minnesota.
3 fouls for Minnesota, 2 for the Spirit with 4:16 left. Goossens controls. Now it's intercepted. McKenzie tackles it away. Back comes Sibbies to Klincharski with a drive, and Lettieri is there. Willie settles it down. Goes to Cummins on the far side. In the corner for Tamby. Off the board, Klincharski will chase it down. Dangerfield off the bench to pick him up, so they go far side to Ian Sibbies. Back to Dudek, 3:40 left, 3rd quarter. 5-2 Minnesota. Drive by Dudek, knocked down in front by Fogarty. Here's Sibbies now with Green in the box area, but it's intercepted off the boards, just off the leg of Klincharski, who was wide open. Nicky can't get it back. There's Lettieri. There's Klincharski. He scores. So the Spirit again cut it to 5-3. Klincharski stayed with it. He stayed in the box area, and he got the goal. So now, with 3:24 left, it's 5-3 Strikers on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
Everything's gone wrong. And now Jack called. Surprise guest for dinner. What a headache I had.
Into the open net.
So the Spirit back in it once again. They're still down by 2. And it's a 3-on-1 or 3-on-2. Knocked into the net by Tuksha. It'll be a goal for Minnesota.
Frustration there on the part of David Bursic. Pittsburgh was going the other way on an attack. Val Tuksha leaning over the midfield line. The ball a little bit too far in front of him, and then the Spirit got caught. It was a 3-on-2, then it ended up 2-on-1. Let's look at the end. Here's David Byrne. He's going to get another assist, it looks like. That went off Tuksha's foot and into the goal. Val did a nice job of just getting back because he was caught way upfield, but that's where Pittsburgh got caught on the counterattack. Here's Byrne the other way. A good running team, the Strikers, and Byrne placed it in deep. He was looking for the man at the far post. Couldn't hit him, but it went off Tuksha's foot and in. So Byrne is going to get credit for the goal. The goals are coming faster now than we can write them. 8th of the year.
So Byrne gets the goal. Who did they give the assist to? Dangerfield gets the assist. Okay, we are having a tough time keeping up with it right now. 2:38 to play, 6-3. It was 3-1 at halftime. It is now 6-3. So Minnesota outscoring Pittsburgh 3-2 in this third quarter of play. And back comes Johnny O'Hara, who'll take it all the way to the corner. Off the boards for Gergerev. He turns, misses the shot. Hagen trying for the rebound. Now Dave will settle. Back to Adam Topolsky. He drives, and Lettieri is there.
Those goals, John, just 22 seconds apart. And we almost saw either Hagen, actually Hagen had a decent chance there, but really Freddie Gergerev, there would have been 3 goals scored probably in about 30 seconds.
2 minutes to play in the third quarter. Willie to Cummins to Willie. He missed the shot. Lodovegas on a rebound. Here's Willie with a drive. Knocked down by Johnny O'Hara. Another one deflected by O'Hara.
That time the defensive player won, but great cutting to the inside by Alan Willie. But John O'Hara made 2 big blocks to save the day.
1:40 left in the third quarter. 6-3 Minnesota. Don't go away. 5 goals scored here in the third quarter. Fogarty chipping it into the corner. Gergerev tries to come back. Can't do it. The call goes against Gergerev. That's the 4th foul against the Spirit. 1:23 left. Lodovegas chipping in the quarter for Cummins. He settles. Gergerev will mark him. This is picked off by Z. Kapka. Z with Hagen on his left side. He's got Gergerev to the right. He goes to Fred. Off the boards. Hagen chips it up over the glass and out of play. 1:01 left in the third quarter. It's the Strikers 6 and the Pittsburgh Spirit 3. Dangerfield has scored along with Dombovic and Byrne. For Pittsburgh, it's Child and Klincharski in the third quarter.
Shows you how the game can be, though, John, because both teams have improved their records defensively, and I really did not expect a high-scoring game. You've got the 3rd best keeper in the league, the 5th best keeper in the league. Both of them are on win streaks. Both have gotten their goals against average down. Both teams' defenses have played much better of late, coming off big wins, but all of a sudden it's now 9 goals, 6 for Minnesota and 3 for Pittsburgh, and the game has started to open up quite a bit in this third quarter, especially in the latter stages.
McKenzie outruns Dangerfield to pick it off, but the referee keeps it in play. Now McKenzie goes back to David Bursic. A little bit of an advantage if he can get the ball out. Breaking is Klincharski. He's got Ingram and Child ahead of him. Fogarty takes it back for Minnesota. Off the board to Byrne. Byrne with 2 assists and a goal. Remember, we'll be naming our Stroh's offensive and defensive players of the game when this is all over. And certainly, Byrne has been a big factor here tonight. Cummins turning. Dangerfield off the board. It'll be headed away by Klincharski to Ingram. Back comes Godfrey Ingram. Had a man open on the right side. That was Child. Could not get the pass through to him. It's picked off now by John Bain. 13 seconds left in the third quarter. It's been a wild third quarter. 3 goals for Minnesota, 2 for Pittsburgh. That one misses. Looking for a couple of players coming in from the right side. Didn't happen. Ingram takes a quick look as the horn sounds, and that's it. Minnesota outscores the Spirit 3-2 here in the third quarter. They lead by 3 as we get set for the final 15 minutes of play on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
Here's a look at the Spirit bench. They're talking things over. By no means are they out of it because of the way this game has gone. But the big problem for Pittsburgh so far, as you look at the score sheet, John, is that they have not been able to get 2 goals together. Every time they score, Minnesota gets one, so they've not been able to build. It's one thing to say you've got momentum, but you've got to score goals to gain that momentum. If you keep getting chances but you don't score, you get a little bit discouraged. And when you give them up 22 seconds later, it really puts you in a hole.
It does indeed. The Strikers out shooting the Spirit 13-7 in the third quarter. So the shots have just about evened out. Pittsburgh now with 23 for the game, and Minnesota 22. Tino Lettieri hoping to stop another goal getter.
Matthew Sen has chosen Paul Chow. We'll see if Paul has anything left in the fourth quarter. He made a winner out of Mark Sarver, who wins $300 in Giant Eagle groceries. So first time we've had a winner there. We're looking, though, for the first win on TV in a long time. There is going to be a TV winner, though, today, because Minnesota's televising their game live, which sounded like it might backfire. Midweek game against anybody. They're not going to draw much in this building tonight, but I'll tell you what, they'll sell some tickets based on the way the Strikers are playing.
How about their announcer, Kyle Rote Jr.? He seems to be everybody's announcer. He'll be doing games for 3 different teams in the MISL.
That's right.
Dallas, Minnesota. Who's the other one?
Dallas, Minnesota, and Tacoma.
Okay.
He's doing play-by-play for Tacoma and color for the other 2 teams.
And he'll do 28 games. He has a couple of conflicts. I guess he'll just have to be in 2 places at one time.
That's right.
15 minutes coming up, and that's how much time the Spirit have to get back in this one. Down by 3 at 6-3. So what had been a 2-goal advantage for Minnesota at intermission becomes a 3-goal advantage. We get set to start the 4th and final quarter of play. The Strikers will be kicking off. I'm not sure what the delay is. The officials,
they're trying to figure out if Kyle Rote is supposed to be here or in Dallas or Tacoma.
Well, maybe there's another problem with the carpet. We've had some problems during the game, and at the Minnesota goal, Tino Lettieri is waiting for somebody to come and help seal down some more of the carpet. So that's what the delay is. The Spirit goals tonight by Dave Hagen, his first of the year, Paul Child his 8th, and Nicky Klincharski his 5th, and we have seen former Spirit player Drago Dumbovic do his thing as well.
Drago is out there now, and Drago will be in Pittsburgh on Friday, December the 20th, when the Spirit meet these same Minnesota Strikers. It may be a rematch again for first place. Who knows by December 20th what changes will occur in the standings, but Drago and company will be in there. And if you call this number now, 642-2067, there are members of the Pittsburgh Spirit staff as operators who are standing by, ready to take your call. It's an $11 seat. You can get it for $9 if you call during the broadcast tonight. 642-2067. You can use a charge card, American Express, Visa, or MasterCard orders are being accepted tonight at that number. It's interesting to note that Drago is starting this quarter. Same thing with Thompson, UC, and John, because Minnesota is not thinking defensively. If anything, right now, they're thinking, it looks like, of opening it up a little bit more and continuing to put some pressure on Pittsburgh, not giving them the chance to come back.
Well, the pace of the game changed midway through the third quarter. It became a running game, and you saw Drago do his thing in terms of running. So Essie Bahamas says everything is set. We've got 15 minutes to go, and here is JP once again for the 4th quarter.
Charlie Green with Sibbies and foul zone. John O'Hara and Adam Topolsky. On the opposite side, Usian, Drago Dumbovic, and Stan Cummins, along with Dan Cantor and Dwight Lodevegas. And this is Lodevegas, who I think has played a very fine game on the back line for the Strikers.
Outstanding defensive game.
Plays it in the box for Usian. Loose ball, gets by Dumbovic. Ian Sibbies on the attack for the Spirit.
You notice how Sibbies used his body to cut off Dumbovic as well as take control of the ball.
Spirit going left to right on the screen. Back for John O'Hara, 5th year as the team captain of the Spirit, last year's MVP. Topolsky to O'Hara. Pittsburgh having to get 3 goals to tie and come from behind. That's a bad pass, and Drago is off to the races in the interception. 2-on-1 with Usian, and now 3-on-2. Drago to Usian. Save, David Bursich. Big play. I don't know what's a safe lead at this point, but 4 goals might have been a little much for the Spirit right there. Here's Lodevegas trying to make it 4. Usian off the goalpost. Bursich will throw it
the
long.
ball stayed right there for David Bursich. If it had come loose, Stan Cummins was just waiting to pounce on it.
Foul zone, left-footed drive, blocked by Dumbovic. Green looking to get some room. Chipping it into the box, but Lettieri is unchallenged, and he comes up and throws long to the left wing for Bain. Picked up by Helmut Dudek. Played back for the Strikers, who lead at 6-3, but it almost was 7. Here's Usian. He was wide open. Off of Dudek, a handball. Yeah, they're going to call a handball on Helmut Dudek, but what was Usian doing that far open? Here's a dangerous play coming up in terms of the proximity of that ball to goal. Very close, but Minnesota doesn't get anything. Kazbek Tambi will clear it all the way back to Tino Lettieri for Ken Fogarty. Fogarty, a very aggressive outdoor player, has used some of those outdoor skills to come inside for the strikers.
And I think it's very apparent, John Paul, but what they're trying to do is blow this one open right here. Try to keep that offensive pressure on.
They're not thinking about a defensive shell. They're looking to attack the Pittsburgh Spirit and try to bury them with a little killer instinct if they can. Here is Fogarty. Cutting it to the right side for Dangerfield. For John Bain. Over on the far side, Dangerfield will get it again. For David Byrne with his back to goal. Turning on foul zone, but it's blocked by Charlie. Played back into the box, and Bursic will come up with it. Spirit will be going from here to Chicago, where they play the Sting on Friday. The Sting are having problems at 2-7, but I don't think they'll be buried that deep for too much longer. They've got too much talent to be that far down. Fogarty on the right side. That game, by the way, will be a radio game, and you can hear that on the Spirit Radio Network. Dangerfield to Kazbek Tambi. 12:25 left in the game. 6-3. Strikers are leading it. In the corner, David Byrne. Battling. Winning the battle. Shoots it off. Bursic. The rebound is blocked by David Bursic as he robbed Stan Cummins, but it looked like David had misplayed that first shot, but he made a great recovery on the second.
The second save was a good one because Cummins was right there. All he had to do was put the ball in the net, and fortunately, David Bursic got a piece of it.
McKenzie the other way. Cuts to the middle on Dangerfield. Plays it for Hagen.
This is where Hagen excels. He controls the ball.
To McKenzie, who scores. How did you know that was going to happen? And it's 6-4, so the Spirit are right back in it. Dave McKenzie on the feed from Hagen. I don't believe Lettieri expected Mac to shoot from that far out and may have been caught off balance with that. A very good low shot placed by Dave McKenzie. We'll see it again.
Hagen's second point of the night, his first assist of the year, and you can see a beautiful feed, and McKenzie had some room, and he was able to pick the left side and drive it home. David McKenzie picks up his second goal of the year. I talked about him controlling the ball, which he does, and as soon as Cummins comes up, that opens the door. Dangerfield couldn't get his foot on it, and McKenzie gets the goal. So once again, Spirit back in it, JP.
6-4. This looks almost like the way Minnesota was doing it. They're reversing it. Remember before, Pittsburgh was putting on pressure, couldn't score, then Minnesota scores. Now it's been all Minnesota, really, this fourth quarter. Most of my play calling has been in the Spirit zone with Minnesota attacking, but Minnesota doesn't score, and Pittsburgh comes within 2. Godfrey Ingram after it. Loda Vegas looked like he won it, but Godfrey with a great second effort. Here he comes. He's got Kapko open on the right. Z off the boards. It comes way out. Tooks are chasing it. So is O'Hara and Goosens. We've not seen much of Goosens in this second half. Bain will knock it back. Loda Vegas. Maybe that's one reason why Goosens' stats are not as high as they were last year. Of course, last year they depended on him a lot more than they are this year. This year they can spread it around a little bit. On the right side, John Bain. Against Kapka. 6-4, Spirit down by a couple. They try to give and go, and there's a beautiful play. Alan Willie will score. Just all kinds of mental mistakes tonight, though, for the Pittsburgh Spirit. Maybe it's not in the cards for them tonight, but they're getting trapped on plays like that. David Bursic is upset. I'm not so sure if he's upset at himself or so much as he was left to die back there on that one.
Alan Willie will pick up his 9th of the year. This is John Bain with it. There's a one-touch pass that came in front. It came from Jan Goosens, I believe, right?
Let's see. Looks like him on the second look. Yeah, Goosens. John, that goal was a minute 4 after McKenzie had scored, so it's like the Spirit have been unable to get any kind of momentum going.
Well, you talked about it as we got ready to start the fourth quarter, and that's exactly what's happened. Every time it looks like the Spirit are going to get back in the game, they come right back. For example, they're trading goals now. Dangerfield, Child, Dumbovic, Klincharski, Bird, McKenzie, Willie, and it's still a 3-goal lead.
And I don't think it's a physical letdown. I think it's a mental letdown. I think you know what the responsibilities are. They're not tired. They played a hard game on Saturday, but they had enough time to rest. They were here last night, so the air fatigue or travel fatigue really is not a factor at all in this. They were well rested and well prepared coming into this. It just seems like they're mental mistakes being made. Here's Klincharski.
Well, let's credit some good passing as well between Goosens and Willie.
I think Minnesota, that's why I said in the first quarter, on the 3 goals that were scored in the first and second quarter, I don't think it was Pittsburgh playing so badly, but they made 3 mistakes. But on the other side, you've got to say Minnesota worked their give and goes, their combinations very well.
And when they've had the opportunities, they've finished.
Here's Godfrey down the right side. Broken up. Godfrey stays in here, lets it go through to Gerger. A wicked drive. Lettieri save, and this one, unfortunately, goes upstairs. 7-4 Minnesota. You're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
What's the fun?
Della camera with John Sanders. There's the Minnesota Strikers bench. Jan Goossens looking over with Alan Willie. They just combined on the last one. Willie's 9th of the year from Goossens at 4-12. But Pittsburgh had another chance a little while ago, just before that commercial break. Gergerov had a good shot on goal that Lettieri rejected, and then Klinczarski shot it upstairs. So the game's not over yet, but they can't keep matching the Strikers goal for goal. Off the boards, Bursic came out, and he got it. Why was there not a dangerous play call on that? Because I thought that the Strikers kept going after David Byrne. He and Bursic kind of wave at each other and say, it's okay, as this ball is deflected out of play. And
well, they have not called very much at all. Only one foul against the Spirit in the first 5 minutes and 26 seconds of this quarter, and no fouls at all against the Strikers.
It's not a big crowd here, but they're trying a wave. This might be a record for the fewest people doing a wave.
4,257 tonight, a chilly weekday night, the game on local TV here in Minnesota.
Would you have come out if the temperature was 0 and it was on local TV? I don't think so.
The way it's going, I may wish I hadn't come out anyway.
They may not let us come out the next time. It is a 7-4 Minnesota lead, but like I said before, I think televising this game may have some added benefit for Minnesota. People sitting at home in a warm living room are seeing a very good Minnesota team. Here's Child in for Klinczarski, and it hopped off his left foot and out of play. Nicky was off balance and never really got a good shot.
Second time in a row that Nicky has been in close, but unable to really get the ball down to a level at which he could drive it, because he was in the position, but the ball stayed up.
Nicky earlier had his 5th goal of the season. Very quick player, deceptive speed. He can put those jets on. This is Lettieri throwing up the far side. McKenzie knocking it up for Child. Back the other way, and look out for Minnesota. Alan Willie having to put the brakes on. Bounces off Sibbies, off the near boards for Lodovegas. Blocked, but they're going to call a foul.
No doubt about that one.
Pushing foul on Lodovegas. This is Helmut Dudek over midfield. Into the attack zone. He goes with it. Waits for help. Finds it in Sibbies. Couldn't handle that pass off the right foot. That cost him a chance to shoot. Here's foul zone. A wicked drive, but off the goalpost. Well, they're making it interesting, I'll tell you that.
I'm not sure that Lettieri even saw that one. It kind of ricocheted off his body, and he took a stab at it.
He saw when it came back off the goalpost. This is foul zone again. He really let that one go. Out to the left point for Helmut Dudek. 7-4 Minnesota leading it. The game not over. Pittsburgh, if they can just come up with 2 straight instead of giving 1 right back, would be very much alive in this. Still, it's only a 3-goal lead, which is not all that great in indoor soccer. Might be enough for the Minnesota Strikers, but look at how many chances Pittsburgh has had in the last 3 minutes.
They've had their opportunities.
Lettieri will send it long. Tuchscha heads it. Where is it, says everybody down there. Byrne didn't have a clue.
Goossens did.
Yeah, and he's got it. Look out for the Goose. Broken up, though, by Tuchscha up the far side for Child. He'll settle it down. Foul zone with it. Over midfield. Hagen back on for the Spirit. He has 1 goal and 1 assist tonight, but the foul zone pass is broken up. This could be a break. Lead ball on the right side for Byrne from Dangerfield. David Byrne running in the corner. Off the boards. Nobody at the far post except for O'Hara.
Really nobody able to follow that time from Minnesota.
There was really no one trailing. Dangerfield was the man who passed the ball, and he was too far back to be considered a trailer. Once he let it go, Byrne was way ahead of him. Tuchscha the other way. Giving it for Hagen. Nice interception. Coming out of nowhere was Stan Cummins.
Cummins has done a good job tonight.
Yes. 5-3, showing you how size is not as important in this game as it is in others. 5-3, that's it.
Cummins has a goal and an assist. Nice save by David Bursic, although I might have been off the goal. A good move by Hagen.
And here he goes. Hagen up the left side into the attack zone. Fakes it, now passes it to Kapka. Back for Hagen. Z had a chance to shoot, but gave it up.
The right idea.
Yeah. Little quicker ball, and Hagen would have been in there. Ball played out to McKenzie. Now for Charlie Green outside of the box, chipping it. Far post, but there's nobody there.
They're going to have to put the ball on the net a little bit here, too.
There's a collision. And where do they go?
Penalty.
There's a penalty on somebody. Hagen and Tamby are there. You can tell by the reaction who the penalty's going to be on. Neither guy is giving you much, though, right? Let's see what happens before we break away. Well, I think that one's going on Pittsburgh.
Yep.
The way Hagen went into him. We'll take it to a break. It is 7-4 with the Strikers leading and a power play coming up. You're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
The jazziest Christmas tradition ever is the Jazz Nutcracker performed.
Take timeout. Obstruction is the call on David Hagen, and it'll be a penalty. Hagen going in the box.
Yeah, Minnesota scored on their last power play. They've got the league's best power play, and here's a chance to really put some daylight between them and the Spirit. They are having the conversations downstairs. I'm sure what Alan Merrick is talking about is saying, hey, Pittsburgh is a very good team. You guys know that. And at this point in time, we've got to bury some of these shots because Pittsburgh, we're letting them have too many chances. And that's really what's happening. If Pittsburgh could ever capitalize on them, you'd be talking about a 1-goal lead for Minnesota maybe instead of the 3 that they now have. So I think Alan Merrick wants to caution his players about that. Don Popovic probably telling the Spirit that there's a lot of time left, but obviously this is the game right here. If they give one up here on the power play, it is probably lights out realistically for the Spirit.
Part of the crowd here in Minnesota tonight, very chilly, down to 0, but it's going to get even colder tomorrow. So the winter weather has certainly arrived here in the north. Hagen has arrived at his designated spot for the next 2 minutes.
So the power play is on for Minnesota. Don't forget, if you'd like to charge tickets for Pittsburgh, Minnesota, December 20th, operators are standing by now at 642-2067. Stan Cummins on the left wing on this power play. Green, Ingram, O'Hara, and McKenzie to try to kill it for Pittsburgh. Cummins, marked by Ingram, plays it out to David Byrne. Byrne asking for help. Now to the right side. A shot goes up too high on the part of Minnesota. That was the Goosens who got that one up too high. Ingram from O'Hara. Godfrey tried to lay it back off to John O'Hara. He's got Willie right on him, but gets it off the boards. Green to Ingram. Charlie plays it up the field, but now Cummins. Some nice skills exhibited. We saw some heading, trapping, a little clinic being put on. 5:56 on the scoreboard clock. That's all that's left. 1:08 on the power play. Minnesota leads 7-4. Cummins blocked by Dave McKenzie. Mack playing tough with him, but now Minnesota will get the ball back. 1 foul on each team in this 4th quarter, so fouls are not a factor. David Byrne cutting it left. Cummins sends it far post. O'Hara gets a foot on that to the far wing, and it goes out of play. Kick in coming up for Minnesota. There's Alan Willie, who's caused some damage as well for the Pittsburgh Spirit. He got that last goal that broke the Spirit momentum after they had scored a goal. Willie's goal 1:04 after McKenzie had scored. Right side, David Byrne. Wicked shot. Bursic made the save. Ingram leading it for Charlie. Green shorthanded off the boards. Green with 1 shorthanded goal this year. That would be nice to see here. That would really pick up the Pittsburgh Spirit. But right now, realistically, they've got to think more about keeping Minnesota off the board than taking a gamble now, scoring it shorthanded. Here's Ingram. If they get a chance, though, here's Godfrey, shorthanded, pulling it around Lettieri. The net's empty. Green with a follow-up. Lettieri still out for Ingram. Great play. And that is Goosens. Another shot that went across, and Lettieri got that. I'm sorry, that was David Byrne, not Jan Goosens. And now the other way, Dumbovic. Got around O'Hara. Drago cuts to the middle. Open man, Willie is blocked by Bursic.
Great play by David Bursic, but how about the play at the other end by Minnesota?
I can't believe what I saw. Here's Hagen coming out. Ingram made a great move to the outside, had Lettieri out, then shot it off the boards. Green with a follow-up, played it back for Ingram, but they just couldn't do it.
Well, at least they killed the penalty.
O'Hara for Hagen, now for Zeke Kapka.
But you always want more, right, JP?
Absolutely.
Great opportunity for a shorthanded goal.
Spirit won a victory, but realistically, they're going uphill now. 7-4, they trail, and the clock is a factor. O'Hara off the boards. Pittsburgh needs a goal quick. Low to Vegas, coming back. Up for you, see it. He can fly into the attack zone. Gives it up for John Bain. Off Tuksha and wide. Now the other way. Trying to step into it, and we've got a foul on, what are they going to call it, on Dangerfield? I don't think so. I thought that one was on Hagen. But my opinion doesn't matter. 7-4, Minnesota leading over Pittsburgh. This is the most goals that Pittsburgh has given up in quite some time.
Well, you see the action is hot and heavy in front. There's the foul. No, I think maybe they made the right call.
You do?
Yep.
Well,
Dangerfield went into him, took David's legs out from under him.
I was looking at my notes, so I can't even have a second opinion on that, so I lose. Dave Hagen with it on that side. Broken up by Loda Vegas.
Oh, what a game Loda Vegas has played.
Yeah, he's got to get some consideration, doesn't he, for defensive player?
He gets my vote right now if it stays this way.
I'm going to make it easy for you. You see in the other way. Takes the shot, and Bursic dove to his left to make that play. Spirit have not given up 7 goals this year at all, so this is the high mark for Pittsburgh.
Previous was 5, is that right?
On a quick check, that's what I see. Ball played into the right wing area. Civvies off the boards, nobody to trail. Banged up high into the air by Vegas. So I was right when I said a long time. Back to last year. Defensively, the Spirit have done very well of late. 3 goals in each of the last 3 games. As that ball is stopped, play is stopped, we go to a break. 7-4 Minnesota, and you're watching Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer.
You'll find it.
3. This has not been a good defensive game, obviously, for the Pittsburgh Spirit. 7-4, they trail. David Bursich didn't play in this one as well as he has in the past, but his teammates didn't help either. Fogarty with a long shot off Bursich. He's made some big saves in this 4th quarter, but there are a couple that went between his legs, and I say that as we have a foul the other way. I say that because of the way David has played so spectacular that you can see that tonight he has not had one of his better games because he doesn't get beat between his legs, and we've seen that a couple of times tonight. But realistically, there are a few combinations, some give and goes that he didn't really have a chance on. Not at all, and one went in off Val Tuchscherer.
Yeah, that's right. When your own team scores against you.
You're hurting, right? In the corner, Goosens trying to play it out, broken up. And a whistle and a foul for a dangerous play on Minnesota. So it's been a long night really for everybody, but if you analyzed every one of the goals, John, they're good plays in the part of Minnesota. Alan Merrick will be happy with what they did. Don Popovic won't be happy with the way the goals were given up because there are a lot of mental mistakes. Played over on the right side to Dave McKenzie. Cutting to the middle. Mack plays it in, broken up. Spirit have not quit tonight, which is good from their standpoint because they were down by 3 goals a few times to this very fine Minnesota team as the ball is headed out of play. There'll be a kick-in coming up for the Spirit.
And unfortunately, JP, with 2:01 to go, they're still down by 3.
It's been an uphill battle for the Pittsburgh Spirit. Here is the situation for Pittsburgh. They've lost, what, 14 straight on television now. That's no secret, but I think the big thing is the road losing streak. They don't associate it as much with TV as they do with the road and the fact that they haven't won.
Be 0-4 on the road this year and 9 in a row.
Yeah.
The Strikers very tough at home. This will be 17 consecutive home victories for Minnesota.
Ingram to McKenzie off a deflection, and there's Paul Child, and we have another Giant Eagle goal-getter winner, don't we? Matthew Sen picked Paul Child. That's $100 in groceries, and the Spirit are within 2 at 7-5.
So Paul Child gets his 2nd of the night, his 9th of the year. McKenzie is going to get the assist. Let's watch it as the feed comes from Ingram to McKenzie. Drive it in front, and there's Paul Child. Just tapped it in. That's what Child does best.
Alan Merrick will not be happy with that. Minnesota fell asleep as Pittsburgh put it in play deep in Minnesota's zone. So it's not over yet. You can't pronounce the patient dead at this point. It's only 2 goals with 1:49 to go, but Pittsburgh still needs to get one quick. Ball is cleared out of play.
Well, that'll help.
Yep, because it'll give Pittsburgh possession. The one thing that really is on the plus side for Pittsburgh, again, we'll echo the comments we just made seconds ago that they have not given up, and it would be very easy for a lesser team to give up 3 goals down on the road with a losing streak that Pittsburgh has on the road. It's easy to think mentally that you're not going to win it when you get down by that much to a team like Minnesota, but they're still fighting. Dudek to McKenzie. It's been a strange game, hasn't it?
It really has.
And 2 Giant Eagle winners makes it even stranger. We haven't had a winner in 2 years. Here's Ingram getting free. Look out. Open man in the box. Klinches was broken up. Dudek, a left-footed shot. Big save for Lettieri. Would have looked good there, John, if that one had gotten by. Because that would have narrowed it to 1 with 1:20 to go. We've got a foul and a penalty. And look out because it's going to make things interesting. Now, you've got a man advantage here. David Bursich coming over to talk things over with Don Popovic. I don't think Pop is going to pull him for another player. I talked to Don Popovic about that early in the season because he was new. I asked him what his strategy was in that. And he said, frankly, he didn't use a 6th attacker much. He really didn't have a chance to do it much. With New York, he was winning a lot, so he was not behind. Yeah. And when he was behind, he had Jungle out there and a lot of game-winning types of players. So he didn't have a need to do that.
The fellow that's in the box has a chance to be our offensive player of the game. It's David Byrne, but he may have committed a big penalty here. You know, I've seen more penalties in this game than I've seen in any so far this season.
There's been quite a few.
We've had a total of 3 on each side.
That's the most this year, then, without question. So let's see what happens. They will leave Bursich in goal. Pittsburgh going with a regular power play, which is 2nd in the league. Civvies cuts it to Godfrey. The shot, he scores! Godfrey Ingram and the Spirit are within one.
And Ingram's streak continues as he picks up his 6th goal of the year. The Spirit back in it.
That's a power play goal, and they are within one. This is the first time tonight that they have scored, John Sanders, back-to-back goals.
And they cut it to 1. Here it is. Look at the feed. And the drive by Ingram went through Lettieri's legs. So both goalkeepers have had their problems tonight.
Here is Godfrey blasting it through.
And this crowd getting a little nervous here.
Can you blame them? What a game to televise for both places. 1:04 to go. Stan Cummins was battling for it along the near side, getting some help from David Byrne, who had to be frustrated. He could be a goat here, and he was at one point a hero. Dudek off the board for Sibbies. 50 seconds to go. On the left side for Child. Paul Child into the attack zone. Great comeback regardless for the Spirit. Off a deflection, McKenzie will get it. Left side, Helmut Dudek takes the shot, blocked in front by Lettieri. No fouls. I thought I heard a whistle, but it must have come from the stands.
Still a chance, JP. 30 seconds.
That looked good. Dudek to McKenzie. For Sibbies. Cleared but not out. Dudek fakes. Cutting it low for Ingram. 22 seconds left. Godfrey in the corner, around the boards. Lettieri looking for it. It's still loose. Kicked out. Who got it last? Oh, big play right there because it's going to be a corner kick for the Pittsburgh Spirit. It was last touched by Minnesota. 16 seconds are left, and Pittsburgh wanting a timeout, screaming for that call, and they're going to get it. And what a discussion that would be. I wish we had a microphone to go downstairs.
Well, I think at this point David Bursich will come off, and John O'Hara will probably come on. Don Popovic is going to talk to his troops. What a rally.
Oh, it's a great comeback no matter what. That's the strange part about indoor soccer, and we were saying that before. You can't pronounce the patient dead, but it didn't look good, John, in all honesty, because Pittsburgh had shown no signs of getting those 2 consecutive goals. And
well,
that's
this time they got him in 56 seconds at 13:01 and 13:57. Child, and then Ingram with a great shot, and Godfrey Ingram stretching his point-scoring streak to 6 games in a row now, and he has really rung up some numbers during that streak with 6 goals, 4 assists, a total of 10 points. And the Pittsburgh Spirit with 16 seconds left with the extra man. This will give Coach Popovic a chance to set up a play.
Oh, yeah. There's a set play coming, no question about it. The reason why they're going to put in John O'Hara, realistically, the game is only 16 seconds left. If Minnesota gets possession, the game is going to be over anyway. They can dribble up the length of the field and not even take a shot. It won't matter. So whether Bursich is in or not won't count. They want an extra player out there, and they're using O'Hara for his steadiness, his leadership, his ability to control the ball and trap a ball. If Minnesota clears it, he's pretty much able, if it's within his reach, to keep it inside that line and keep the penetration going. Godfrey Ingram, who's done well, especially lately in these plays. He's been picking up some assists off corner kicks. Will put it in play. From the near corner. Pittsburgh within 1, 7-6. 16 seconds left, but it's deflected, and Minnesota will clear it. Etherington down the length of the field. 12 seconds are left, 11 seconds. McKenzie has a long way to go at 8 seconds, and he can't put it over 3 lines in the air. For Dudek, 5 seconds, it's blocked. A comeback, which is gallant by Pittsburgh, will fall 1 short at the very end as the Spirit will lose 7-6 to Minnesota. But what a great game this turned out to be. A strange game, to say the very least, John, but a great game between 2 of the very finest teams right now in the Major Indoor Soccer League, and it really points out one thing I think very important about the Indoor Soccer League. A game is really not over, as Yogi Berra says, until it's over, because Pittsburgh fought right down to the very end against a Minnesota team that looked very composed but lost their composure in the end.
7-6, the Strikers on Pittsburgh Spirit Soccer. Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, where a disappointing finish for the Spirit because they came up 1 short, but they gave it a rush at the end, did come up 1 short, and JP and I have made our Stroh's offensive and defensive player of the game selections.
Well, Chris Dangerfield's the offensive player, 2 goals, some nice ones, and an assist as well. And the defensive player of the game, Dwight Lodevegas, he made 3 blocks, but he always seemed to come up big when the Spirit were threatening. It would be very tough to give it to the goalkeeper, Tino Lettieri, because there were 6 goals that were scored, even though they were not all his fault. But this was a very strange game. It did not have, when I say it was a great game, I mean in terms of the excitement. It did not have the intensity of the Spirit-Baltimore game on Saturday. That kind of intensity is almost unmatched except by a Pittsburgh-Cleveland game. But this was a great game because of the way you saw both teams able to come back, get some momentum, have it broken, and we saw a lot of nice plays, a lot of nice goals, a lot of textbook goals that you'd see on a highlight film to show you how to work given goals in indoor soccer.